Hello art students, and welcome back from your summer. Today I just want to show you how to do our first assignment. It's going to be really simple. Those of you who have had art class with me before will kind of know how to do this already, but I just want to walk you through it just so we can kind of get warmed up. We're going to be doing some drawing earlier on in the year, and I want to make sure that everyone is prepared with the basic tools for how to do that. Today I'm going to give you your first lesson on observational drawing, which is drawing things that you see in front of you the way that you see them. You're going to be trying to draw it as much as possible so that it looks like the thing that you're seeing. And I'm going to show you how to do that. First, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need a piece of paper. It can be any piece of paper. I don't care if it's lined, a graph paper, any kind of 8.5 by 11 or similar size paper. You're going to need a pencil, and you're going to need something rectangular. I'm using a tissue box. You can use, anything that has kind of 6 sides that oppose each other at right angles. Anything that is boxy will work for this. I will caution you that the more complicated of an object you select, the more difficult this drawing or the more complex this drawing is going to be. So you're going to want to choose something that's fairly simple, like a tissue box or something that is actually a box. Next up, we're going to start drawing. I want to make sure that my drawing is fitting nice and big in the center of my paper. I don't want it to be this little drawing of a tissue box in the corner like that, okay? And I also don't want it to be so big that it takes up more than the entire paper and goes off the edges. That would also be bad. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and find the extents of my drawing. This means I'm looking for the farthest points where that object can reach in terms of up, down, left, and right. So what I want to do is first, I'm going to find that top corner like this, and I'm going to figure out, it's that point right there. That's the corner. Now what I want to figure out is how far left and right is that. If this is the left point and this is the rightmost point, this looks like it's more to the left than to the right, because that would be the center. So I want to kind of go a little bit left on my page, and I'm going to put that point right here. Next thing I want to do is I want to measure the angles of that tissue box. So here's one angle, and I have the edges of my paper that I can use as absolute horizontals and verticals, and I can compare that to the angle of my pencil. So I can sort of look at this angle very carefully and record it. And I'm using a light line, I'm not using a heavy line because I might want to erase some of this later. Next thing I want to do is I want to look at the other angle, which is going to be something like that, coming off of the other side of that point. And I want to sort of memorize that angle, figure out what it looks like. I can also compare it to this angle. I know that this angle should be a little bit steeper. That angle is a little bit shallower. Because if I pull up a horizontal line here, I can kind of compare the angles that they come off at. So, let's go ahead and do that. Now, I've got my 2 lines and my point. I want to make sure that this doesn't go off the page, and this is the one that's threatening to do that first. So, I'm going to go ahead and say that this side stops here, okay? So now that I've got that point, I can measure another angle. Now, there's something about the laws of perspective that I know that is going to make this whole process easier for me and let me know what to expect as I'm drawing. I know that because this side of the box is closer to me than this side, and that in reality, this side and this side are the same length, because this side is closer to me, it should appear bigger than this side. okay? And that's because of the laws of perspective. Perspective states that when you're looking at something, the closer it is to you, the larger it appears to be. And the farther away it is, the smaller it appears to be. So, because this is bigger than this, I know that these two lines are not parallel. They actually have to converge out here somewhere in what is called a vanishing point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that angle now, and I'm going to try and record it on my paper. And I know that it's got to be a little bit steeper than this angle so that the two lines could eventually converge. It doesn't have to be a perfect line. In fact, it probably should be a little bit steeper. Now, I need to know how long to make these lines. So I have to find where these corner points are. So to do that, I'm going to actually measure again from here. And I'm going to bring a vertical line down. I can always use a vertical line because it is the same angle as the side of my paper. And the reason I'm bringing that vertical line down is because I observed that it cuts this line more or less in half. And that allows me to find the length of this line. I could also draw an angle from here to here. So that would be another way of finding this point. So I'm going to do both, just so that I can see which one is more accurate. If I do this one, then the corner should be here. If I measure this angle, then I think it should be a little bit farther away. So I'm going to go with the difference between the two. I think that sounds safe to me. So here's that close point, and now I just have to find the angle back up to this line. And that is going to be something like this. And that looks about right. Now I've got the top surface of my tissue box. I'm not going to bother with the tissue that's sticking out of it because that's way more advanced than I want you to be right now. The next thing we're going to do is to draw the sides of the tissue box. As you can see from where I'm sitting, this is not a vertical line. You can compare it with the edge of the frame. I'm holding my camera perfectly horizontally, and you can see that there's an angle between my pencil and the side of the image. See that? If I remove it over, it's crooked. In fact, I can do it like this. So you see that angle right there? So I know that I need an angle on this that is coming down somewhat and into the right. I also need it for this side, which is also not perfectly vertical. It does come in and to the left a little bit as it comes down, but not as steeply as the other one. So I've drawn the top of my box. I've gotten the two sides. I still need this one in front here. And that one is more close to vertical, and that's because it's the closest one to me. Let's try this. Now, I have a problem. My drawing is going to go off the page, and that's okay. The important thing is that I demonstrated that I have observed these angles and distances to each other. I want to do one last thing before I kind of close up the drawing, which is I want to check to make sure that this point and this point are correctly aligned in terms of their vertical positions. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to look at this going across and make sure that it's coming down underneath that point. So now I have the right relationship of all the points to each other in terms of their geometry or their geometric positions. I can also do that with this point. So I know that if I were to continue this line, it should miss this point. It should go under it. So I'm going to go slightly up from here. find that bottom corner. And that doesn't look right at all. So I'm guessing, yeah, it's got to be much closer to horizontal. Maybe like that. And then this comes over. And if I draw a horizontal line across like this, I know that that corner has to be below this corner. See that? This is down here, this is up here. So let's go ahead and do that. And this corner is there somewhere. That's basically it. Once you've drawn this, what I want you to do, and this is the secret part of the video, I want you to, in the middle, draw a small picture of yourself. Okay? It can be a silly picture, but it should look like you. It should give the viewer a sense of who you are, so that if they saw that picture, they'd see you in real life and be like, I know that person. Okay? So I'm going to do that real quick. Sort of a quick self-caricature right in the middle. Where's Mr. Z? Here he is. Let's put me here. There you go. Unmistakable. All right, that's the assignment for this week. This took me about 10 minutes. It should take you about the same amount of time. All right, so I'm looking forward to seeing your work. Thank you very much for watching.